What if I told you that right now, literally at this exact second, your body might be completely missing a deeply dormant physical reflex? And without it, well, a single, totally ordinary step, like just catching the edge of a rug or stepping off a curb, can instantly turn into a catastrophic emergency room visit. Now, I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this to wake you up. Because the terrifying reality here is that the human body often quietly loses this absolutely critical built-in safety mechanism without us ever realizing it, until the exact millisecond we're crashing toward the floor.
Welcome to This Explainer. What we're doing today is launching a high-stakes medical investigation into a hidden biomechanical breakdown. We're going to expose exactly why our bodies lose the ability to catch themselves mid-stumble, and crucially, we'll outline the exact clinical protocols you need to reverse it. It honestly takes just minutes a day to reactivate the system, but you have to know exactly which neurological circuits to target.
Okay, let's dive straight into Section 1. Visualizing the failure, the dangerous myth of static balance.
Right, so to understand how to actually fix this crisis, we've got to expose a massive flaw in traditional balance training. If you ask someone to practice their balance, what do? They usually just stand perfectly still on one leg, maybe wobble a tiny bit, and call it a day. But think about it. Static standing versus dynamic motion. Catastrophic falls do not happen when you're standing perfectly still like a statue. They just don't. They happen strictly in dynamic motion. They happen when you shift your weight abruptly, or when the ground isn't exactly where you expected it to be, or when you're moving forward. To survive a stumble, your body has to be trained to recognize the precise millisecond it's off balance and instinctively pull itself back to center, while in motion.
Moving on to Section 2, Anatomy of the Reflex, the severed neuromuscular circuit. Down near the ground, right in your feet, and specifically in your toes, there is this highly engineered biological safety net. It's meant to instinctively grip the floor and pull you back to safety. When you start to tip forward, those foot muscles are biologically designed to instantly switch on. Your toes are meant to literally grip the floor, dig in hard, and create enough traction to yank your entire body mass back into a safe position. That is the fall prevention reflex. But here's the problem. Decades of walking in heavily cushioned shoes and living entirely on perfectly flat artificial surfaces completely breaks this connection. It's exactly like trying to turn on a light in a room when someone has cut the circuit somewhere in the wall. You start to tip, your brain flips the emergency switch to grip the floor, and absolutely nothing happens. The circuit is entirely severed. Now, before we even attempt to reconnect that circuit, we have to establish some mandatory clinical safety protocols. This is absolutely crucial. First, if you have a diagnosed balance disorder or an unresolved injury from a recent fall, get medical clearance. Do not push through a broken system. And here is a big one. You must train barefoot. Never, ever wear socks on a smooth hardwood or tile floor. Seriously, socks on smooth floors are a leading cause of indoor slips. Barefoot training is absolutely mandatory here because it maximizes ground sensory feedback. It floods your nervous system with the electrical signals it desperately needs to wake back up. Always keep a sturdy chair or wall nearby so you can train with total confidence. And hey, if you feel any sharp pain, stop immediately. All right, let's get into the solution. Section 3, Clinical Reactivation Protocols, Systematic Neuromuscular Hacking. The incredible news here is that this severed circuit, it's not permanently destroyed. No way. Your nervous system simply needs to be reminded how to fire. We can actually hack this neuromuscular circuit and reconnect it in just a few minutes a day using 6 very precise protocols. So protocol 1 is the foundational toe lean. You're going to stand facing into a safety corner, where 2 walls meet so you're completely protected. Keeping your back perfectly straight like a plank, you lean entirely forward strictly from the ankles. This exact lever action absolutely forces your dormant toe muscles to wake up, grip the floor, and fire that critical fall prevention reflex to pull you back to center. Next up is Protocol 2, which targets your lateral control, weight shifting. Standing behind a chair with your feet about hip-width apart, you'll slowly shift your total body weight to one side, lifting the opposite foot barely an inch off the ground, and just hold it for 3 seconds. The absolute key here, moving slowly. By intentionally delaying the movement, you're literally forcing your hips, ankles, and core to actively communicate with each other in real time. This is what rebuilds that lateral stability that protects you when you're reaching sideways. Okay, Protocol 3 is the dynamic heel-to-toe walk. You place one foot directly in front of the other, touching your heel to your toe, and walk in a perfectly straight line for 10 steps. This tandem walk rigorously trains your dynamic stability, which is exactly what you need for navigating narrow spaces or walking around furniture.
But pay attention, because the absolute secret to this movement is that you must keep your eyes locked straight ahead. Don't look down. In the real world, your balance system has to function while your eyes are scanning your environment, not staring at your feet. Now, this brings us to a really severe biomechanical warning. A stumbling foot that cannot clear an everyday rug is a catastrophic failure of the body's lifting reflex. Let that sink in for a second. If your hip flexors are weak and your lifting reflex is sluggish, an ordinary crack in the sidewalk isn't just a minor bump, it's the trigger for a violent fall, because your body simply cannot lift your foot fast enough to clear the hazard.
To fix that specific failure, we use Protocol 4, standing marches. You stand tall behind a chair for a little light support and slowly lift one knee high up toward the chest. Holding that maximum height for 2 full seconds builds pure lifting power. But honestly, the magic of this protocol is lowering the foot back down with extreme control. That slow, eccentric lowering phase, that is what builds the shock-absorbing stability your leg desperately needs when your foot suddenly strikes the ground after tripping. Protocol 5 introduces multi-directional reaches. And what's really interesting here is that this movement perfectly mimics daily life. Imagine you're standing right in the center of a giant clock face. You reach your leg out to tap 12, then 9, then 7. Think about it, reaching for a coffee pot, turning to grab something off a shelf, or twisting to close a heavy door. These are those unpredictable, sideways reaching movements that so often cause lateral falls. This exact protocol trains your body to manage those awkward angles without just collapsing. Finally, we have Protocol 6, which addresses the absolute highest risk moment of the average day, the hands-free sit to stand. Seriously, getting out of a chair is when a massive percentage of falls actually occur. By crossing your arms securely over your chest, leaning forward, getting that nose right over your toes, and pushing exclusively through your heels, you are simultaneously forcing pure leg strength and raw balance to perfectly synchronize. Now look, you don't need to do all of these in some grueling hour-long sweaty workout, not at all. Clinical research actually points to the distributed dose strategy, or what we like to call balance exercise snacks. You can do the toe lean while the coffee is brewing, execute some weight shifts during a commercial break, do a few standing marches while using the microwave. These brief, 60-second exposures repeatedly ping the nervous system throughout your day, and this constant low-level stimulation rebuilds the reflex drastically faster than a single exhausting gym session ever could. It's a total game changer. Let's pivot to Section 4, the secondary threat, the compounding danger of muscular degradation. Here is the harsh truth. Perfect balance is utterly useless if the underlying muscular machinery is quietly degrading right beneath you. I mean, you can have the fastest reflexes in the world, but if your legs lack the raw mechanical horsepower to stop your body weight from hitting the floor, you're still going down. Clinical research shows that individuals with degraded leg strength are 5 times more likely to suffer a catastrophic fall in any given year. 5 times! To put that into perspective, it's a massive, highly overlooked danger that acts as a huge multiplier for severe injury. When we actually map out the biomechanical consequences of this weakness, the reality's pretty grim. During a sudden stumble, weak legs result in drastically slower physical reaction times. And when you inevitably tip the wrong way, you have a complete lack of pushback power to correct your momentum. On top of that, your hips and knees lose their joint stability, literally wobbling precisely when they need to lock in and save you. Ultimately, this weakness leads to a rapid, quiet erosion of your independent movement and your daily confidence. So this all brings us to one ultimate question. Are you actively training your body to protect your physical independence, or are you simply waiting for the circuit to fail? Think about that for a second. The reflex is right there, just waiting to be reactivated. The protocols literally take minutes a day. The choice to rebuild that neural connection, to step confidently out your front door without that looming fear, well, it's entirely in your hands. It's time to take control of your biomechanical health today.